Did you guys know that there was a bunch of releases that came out this week for horror that you might have missed? Well, I'm going to tell you about them, and you might want to pick them up. So let's get into it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing 4 new releases that came out this week that you might want to pick up for yourself. These are the physical releases. I'm going to get into what they are, what I thought of them, and then give you a score, and then also tell you what's inside each of the physical media releases. But before we do that, I have a special giveaway for you guys that I think you might enjoy. And this one is brought to you by Paramount, which is Smile 2. Bring home Smile 2 on digital today. In this terrifying thriller, an unknown force has latched onto the global pop star known as Sky Riley as her reality and nightmares collide. You can buy the film that critics are calling one of the scariest films of the year by a mile, and you'll get 40 minutes of bone-chilling extras, including deleted scenes and much more. It's available at all your online digital retailers, and it's rated R from Paramount Pictures. Now, if you want, write down in the comment section, I want to Smile too. If you write that, I will pick one winner from the comment section to give a code away to on 4K for you to have for yourself and keep. That's right. Thanks, Paramount, for giving me a few codes. I'll give out 2 more tomorrow as well when I do my weekly watch list, so be sure to tune into that. But thanks, Paramount, and thanks, Smile 2. Let's get into it. So yes, I got some stuff from MBD Entertainment, and I also got some stuff from Raven Banner. I want to thank you both for allowing me to be able to check these out. Now, first up, we have Frankie Freako, which is from Raven Banner. Thank you very much for sending this out to me. They did a collaboration with Shout Factory. There are 2 releases, and this one is the Canadian release that you can still pick up and order from their website and will be distributed via the US. So they already have a US distributor out here, and you can pick up a copy, so it'll be sent to you quick. But yeah, this is the release. They sent it out. Thank you guys so much. It's so cool. I really actually prefer this one over the Shout Factory one a little bit. This is just my opinion. I've done a review of this movie, and you can actually check it out right here. So if you want to check it out, I even did an interview with the director, Steven Kostanski, which you can check out after that thing. I'll put them back to back. This is from the director of Psycho Gorman, Steven Kostanski, who is also working on Deathstalker, which I cannot wait to see. But this one came out, and I'm just now realizing we just had 2 puppet movies this year that are pretty freaking wild, man. This one obviously is about a boring vanilla kind of guy in the 80s or 90s who is in a pretty boring lifestyle, and he doesn't do anything to kind of rock the boat in his life. And he's gotten pretty boring, even in the bedroom with his wife. And so one day when she leaves, he decides to make a phone call to a hotline, which they used to have these party hotlines back in the day for kids to call, where like Freddy Krueger would talk to you, and it's really just a recorded thing, and you would call, and it was just a really big deal back in the day. So he calls this one for Frankie Freako, zip through the phone and into his life, changing everything and partying down. Things get pretty dark and messed up, and he even ends up in another world. So it's a pretty wild movie that I think is kind of a niche film for some niche audience, because I don't know how many people really remember the phone line things, but Raven Banner put out, and I think it's pretty cool. You get the slipcover here, and on the back, this has all the extras that the Shout Factory does, only this has more. So you get the audio commentary with the director Steven Kostanski, actor Connor Sweeney, and the cinematographer Pierce Dirks. Behind the scenes of Frankie Freako, Connor and Frankie, a conversation between actors. They also have Frankie Freako's Fun Time phone commercial that they used in the movie. Even the antique connoisseur segment that you see in the movie as well, they put in there. And this one has the Fantasia Film Festival Q&A plus the trailers. Now, I believe the trailers are in the other one too, but the Q&A from Fantasia which is where I saw this, is included in this, so that's very cool. You also get the reversible cover. This is actually right here is the same cover that Shelf Factory is doing. Like I said, it's a collaboration. A greeting card, season's greetings from the Freako family. But I thought that was really cool. And it even comes with sort of a booklet. This is the soundtrack booklet. Artwork, you know, like some funny, silly scenes from the movie and like one of them on the moon. But it also has the soundtrack from Blitz Berlin included in this release. So you get the extra disc in here. You get the movie, and then you get the soundtrack here, which has like a 80s montage song and the entire score and all the fun Frankie Freako stuff that you can adore. I actually already listened to it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, this one's already out, and you can order it directly from Raven Banner, and they'll ship it out to you by, I think it's a company called Fixed that will send it out to you, you know, the US or wherever you are. So you can kind of order it on there. But yeah, definitely like this release. I already watched all the extras. I thought it was really fun. The Connor Sweeney one with the Frankie Freako is pretty cute. They like hang out and kind of like improv together. So it's pretty fun. Up next, we got one from SRS, which is Darius with 2 S's, by the way. SRS Cinema is a shot on video and also smaller sort of distributor. They do a lot of different work with a lot of shot on video movies. So stuff that was never actually put out on digital, but they also work with stuff that is digital as well. It's just a lot smaller projects. They do deal a lot with the shot on video days of like the 80s and 90s. And a bunch more. But this one is a Nightmare Fuel and Gorilla Metropolitana film. This one is going to be a very acquired taste. I got to check this one out, and there is very minimal talking in the movie. It is like kind of like an analog sort of feel that you would see like something like Skinamarink or the Outwaters, if you ever saw those 2 movies. This is very much in that vein. Now, I don't really understand the plot of the story. All I know is that there's a family of people, a tragedy befell them when somebody got lost. Something involving a child, because they show a child running around at the beginning of the movie, and then like there's a woman that's like pregnant, and then it's very confusing. If you've ever seen Skinamarink, it's kind of along those lines. There is no like talking though, and it's just kind of like visually, it's supposed to be stimulating in the way that is like a crazy person or something like that. I'll read the back if you want, but it doesn't do much help. The loss of a young girl, her family devastated, a remote house on the quiet English countryside of Essex. Each member of the family is affected and deals with such pain and loss differently. What such terrible tragedy can cause to an ordinary middle-class family is unbelievable. A hand camera, a woman, high heels, hair, scalps, and a child. An unspeakable, sickening, and perverse cinematographic voyage of blood, bodily fluids, and madness like you've never seen before. Going to their house and doing obscene, and I mean really obscene things with them, like cutting their head off and yeah, situations with like blood, guts, and sex. A lot of that in there. And it's a lot of self-gratification going on in the movie as well. I'll be honest, I really wasn't a fan of it. I honestly think it's not for me. You know, if you're into analog films, maybe it is. For me, this was like maybe a 3 out of 10, maybe a 2.5 out of 10. I apologize, you know, it's just not for me, you know? This one came with features. It has the English captions, the trailers, and some SRS trailers. On the inside here, you get the disc, and that's about it. But for those who like kind of graphic stuff that doesn't really answer your questions and just kind of takes you on a ride, I mean, there are people out there that might like this. Everybody's a little bit different, so, you know, thank you for sending it out to me anyway, MVD and SRS. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Up next, we have Crust, which is a Sean Whalen movie. You know, the guy from The People Under the Stairs. Well, he's done a lot more than that, but I always just remember him from that movie that Wes Craven did, which is just a great movie. He did this movie in black and white. He wrote and directed. He actually got a lot of friends and like cast to come join to make this movie with him. It's about a sock monster. Well, technically, it's really about a guy named Vegas Winters, who was a kid actor who grew up and life didn't really pan out for him as an actor. And so he bought a laundromat, and the years have passed. He's acquired some friends who were in the industry, and nothing's ever really came about of his career like he wanted it to. So he's down on his luck a little bit. His girlfriend's left him. His best friend's kind of an alcoholic that doesn't listen to him. And to make matters worse, someone videotapes him while he's gratifying himself and puts it on the internet for everyone to see. And this ends up being the worst and best thing for him ever. It's a breaking point for him, and his tears, his snot, his self-gratifying socks have all been piled up into one corner and made into a monster to take out any of the problems in his life. Obviously a metaphor for change, and this movie has a pretty interesting sort of like comedic beat to it. It's not one that is like the super most funniest thing I've ever seen, and even some of the acting you have to get a little bit of time to acclimate to, but overall, I actually really enjoyed this movie, and I enjoyed the ending. You got Daniel Roebuck, who was in Pee Wee Herman's Adventure, Big Adventure. Also, Felissa Rose. You've got a ton of other people that are just, you'll recognize, and that's kind of part of the fun of watching this movie. So I don't want to divulge all of them, especially one in particular that you might recognize from Ferris Bueller. But yeah, overall, I think this one's like a 6 out of 10 indie, obviously very indie, and I think Sean Whalen does a really good job here. Now, as far as his acting goes, he's really just kind of acting like himself in a very downtrodden way. So I'm not really sure how I felt about his acting in here, but on this release, there's some extras that he did of Dorothy. Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, that he dresses up like, and it is some of the funniest shit I've ever seen. But yeah, the movie's a fun one, and I think it's worth a watch. It's not going to be for a lot of people, but for those who get it, some of the extras on here, you get commentary with the writer-director Sean Whalen, Dorothy 50 Years Later, which was really hilarious, and Dorothy 2, The Bump and Run, which has Sean Whalen and Daniel Roebuck in it, who Daniel Roebuck actually directed this. And plus you have a Q&A from the Crust Los Angeles premiere, which was really fun to watch. But yeah, pretty cool release. It came out already, so you can pick it up. There's links down below. And for our fourth release, we got Cursed in Baja by writer and director and actor Jeff Daniel Phillips, who is often known as the guy who works with Rob Zombie a lot. He was Herman in The Monsters for Rob Zombie's movies and many other things. But he's actually pretty likable, so I was curious to see what this kind of movie was going to be about. This one is essentially a B-movie style. He calls it a B-movie style, like he grew up watching B movies that weren't really mainstream movies, and they weren't really good movies. They were just kind of like on the fence ideas that you could put out. And he thought, hey, you know what? I'm going to do a feature film. He'd been doing a couple of shorts that he got a bug from going to a convention. They asked him what he thought of filmmaking, and it kind of got him into the mood of wanting to make films. And so he made this one later on. It's essentially about this guy named Pirelli, who was an ex-police officer and an ex-convict who got in trouble with some stuff. And he has been asked to do a job for an investigation to find a missing kid, grandson of this family, a family that he actually worked with before, and they wanted to hire him, find their grandson, even though the daughter that they had him go find, he found dead. And essentially, this is like a big no-no for him. Like, he's trying not to get involved because he doesn't want to be put into a situation where he breaks the law or gets involved with this crap again. So he goes down to Mexico, fighting all kinds of crazy people and getting himself into a lot of bad, weird situations where he's like basically a fish, so to speak, out of water. And there's like a werewolf / maybe chupacabra story going on mixed in with this grandson and this group of people that kidnap. So it's an interesting story, but I don't know that it was actually played out that well. A movie that you would have seen maybe in the like 80s and 90s, which is exactly what he was going for. But I just found myself having a really tough time kind of following along. Now, it's not like terrible. Like, I actually saw some pretty good editing skills and different kind of combinations of scenes and things that he put in there mixed with music and stuff that kind of really work, and I think they actually do really well in this movie. But there are some pretty rough scenes as far as acting goes, and it felt like it could have been trimmed up a little bit for me, my personal taste, and I just wasn't as devoted to the film as I wanted to be. You know, I like Jeff Daniel Phillips a lot, and so I was kind of bummed out about this one a little bit. I would lower your expectations on this and maybe just kind of understand that what he said is true. It's a B movie that's not supposed to be exactly perfect, and I applaud him for trying to do it. So, you know, this just wasn't for me. But it is out, and you might like it. You might, if you like Jeff Daniel Phillips, maybe you should pick this up. Now, some of the features in this one you can see on the back here. You get Crust and Baja, the making of. Jeff Daniel Phillips kind of explaining a lot of what I did and a lot more, and some of the people that were involved in it. And it also has a commentary of him on here as well. Some people really like this movie a lot. I wasn't real fond of it. I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 10. You know, it's something that I wanted to like more than I actually did. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's everything for the 4 movies this week. Obviously, I'll be returning tomorrow with a brand new weekly watch list that you'll want to check out. So don't forget the Smile2 code in the bottom. I want to smile too. And also watch the video tomorrow that I'm going to be putting up, and we'll give out 2 more codes for that. Thank you, MVD, SRS, and Ravens Banner and Anchor Bay for all of the wonderful movies that you send to me. So thanks again, and as always, long live the void.